talked about a man, a driver who takes the boy to school and abuses the boy. Now, a lot of people out of ignorance assume that if people are of the same gender, the children are safe with the domestic worker. They also assume that boys are not abused. But the statistics are out there. Google it. A lot of guys have been abused. A lot of guys, their first sexual experience was with their house help or their nanny. The first person to touch them and fiddle them was their houseboy or their house girl. That's their first sexual experience, even before they start doing things around in schools, in anywhere, clubs or whatever. It's usually at home. So we can't be ignorant, and we shouldn't be ignorant of the fact that women abuse girls, women abuse boys. Boys abuse girls and men abuse girls and boys. So it's not a respecter of gender. The perversion is not a respecter of, anything. I've seen and heard cases of domestic workers even allowing children to watch pornography because they want to watch it. So they introduce the children to those sort of things. So it's ignorant to assume that somebody cannot abuse your child. Even entering Uber for me alone with a man is a problem for me. My friends know. If I want to enter Uber now, I'll look for somebody around that is free, and we enter it together. I entered Uber once this year, twice. Okay, we went to Uber and came back with Uber twice, and that was because we were going somewhere so far out around a beggar side. I just knew that there was no hope for forget it. I don't really know that, I as much as I can, and I'm an adult, I try to stay away from certain things because of abuse. How about a young defenseless child? And what are the things that are going to equip your child, with? How would they know that things are inappropriate when they are being done to them? A lot of parents assume that since it's anti this, anti that. Many years ago, many years ago, I heard of a story of a domestic worker that used to breastfeed the child that she was supposed to be looking after. And the madam used to allow the nanny to sleep in with the baby. And people still do it in 2022. Domestic workers, house helps, nannies, they still share rooms with children as I'm speaking now. And they will allow they will say they trust them. So every time the mom came, anyway, the long story was the baby was always, how children are, they want this one to carry, and this one to carry, miss this auntie this to carry. But they just assume that, because she's the one looking after her, she got fond of her, blah blah blah. So there was this night where the mom had the baby. No, the domestic worker had the baby. So the mom just had this inclination. I think maybe she got up to the restroom or something like that. This was how she went there and realized that the nanny was even sleeping, but the baby was suckling. Imagine. So the bond, you can imagine the bond. But to the mom, she never thought in a million years that would happen. What can she do to my baby? They are so close. She looked after her very well. She's very neat. She's very this. She looked after her like her own child. But look at what is happening. So we just can't be too wishy. We can't just be so loose and so free and so unserious and not protect our children the way that we ought to protect our children. A lot of things are happening out there, and you just can't trust anybody and anybody. Even the teachers, as much as you can, you put them in a school where you believe that you can trust them, but your children must also have the avenue to be able to come home and say, Mom, this happened in school, Miss X or Mr. Das said so many things. Because this is 2022, and we're still hearing these cases. With all the social media, with all the so-called enlightenment, with all the jingles, people, call it whatever it is, Nigeria is trying in terms of getting information about abuse out there. I've heard people saying it in Yoruba and different languages, carrying these messages around. But we still have children that are abused right up until now.
Yes.
So we must do something about it. The menace is there. The perversion is there. I went out on Sunday to a show, and honestly, I went with my friend and one of my bros, and I've never seen anything like that in my life in Nigeria. If I was even abroad, I would even understand. I recorded it. I wanted to post it on my profile, but I said to myself, I'm probably just promoting this sort of perversions. So I said, I'm not going to use my page to promote such perversions. So, but what I'm trying to say is that people are so sick out there. Someone said, because it's Buhari economy, they don't have anything to do, so everybody is just doing anything they want to make money. Whatever the case may be, there are lots of perverted people out there, and they will pervert your children if you don't pay attention to parenting. If you don't pay attention to parenting, if you don't teach your children the right values, This sort of tribe of people that we saw on Sunday, I don't want to be too, you have to be very careful with the internet, never forgets. But this tribe of people that I saw on Sunday, I didn't see 10 of them. You know what I'm saying? Or 20 of them. I saw countless number of them. And somebody will be out there saying, my child, my child, my child. Oh, they'll be bragging about that child, doing screenshots and putting something on Instagram and praying and doing all sorts of things. But your child is lost. The world has taken your child, has consumed your child. So what are you doing at home? How are you instilling those values to make sure that no matter what, your child is unshakable? I'll give you an example. When my daughter went to school, in the first few weeks, they already tried to introduce her into vaping. You know what vaping is, right? So they already wanted her to start vaping already, and she realized that one or two people that she thought she could be friends with are vapors. So I said to her, you don't vape, it doesn't mean that they are bad people. They may just be influenced. She has a tribe of friends that don't do it. But as I'm speaking now, one of them has joined the vapors because you're not rooted. This one, they know the right thing from the wrong thing, but they want to belong. They have this, they're so desperate to belong to a group that they would do anything to belong to the group. Now, another one where there's a way that they dress, I want children, there's modesty. Yeah, they can show a little bit of midriff here and there, but you have to be careful with the way you dress. And they dress modestly, and we give them the liberty to do one or two things. However, we know what is not allowed. Bombshells, boobs, all those cleavage, showing all those sort of things. No. We're a Christian home, we're unapologetic about that. And I actually even met the mother of, because I like to meet the parents of my, and even one of them is even connected to me on Instagram. And then our children met in school. But we're not friends, we're just Instagram friends, if you see what I mean. I just assume that the children will have sense. What I'm seeing and hearing now is a completely different ball game. These children have only been there for a term. But the parents still will be putting posts about their children online and saying this, that, and the other. They don't know that, yes, you taught your children, but they're not rooted and grounded. And that's what I say. Pastors and people that teach anything about parenting need to understand that if you don't connect with those children and bring them up in a way that they connect with you and they buy into your values, when they have the freedom and the liberty, they will go and do whatever it is that they want out there. Which is what happened to a lot of us growing up. Their parents taught us, give us home training. You can't go out, you can't go out, you can't do this, you can't do this. But the minute we went out, the true colors came out. The true colors came out.
Yeah.
So what is it that you are doing to ensure that your children don't lose their values? Why should they dress in a certain way when they're out and about or in school? Why should your 16-year-old be in a club? Why should your 16-year-old be showing cleavage, and wearing full face makeup to go to classes? Do you even know that is happening? At any point in time, have you called them, or they've called you during the afternoon and you've seen what they are like? Who is checking on them for you? What are the teachers saying? A lot of people, we are sending our children abroad. Even those that are jackpot, they're sending that they're there. But how are you tracking the activity of your children? What do you know that they're doing when they are in class? Who else is looking at them? Even the kind of friends that they have. Okay, today they're friends with A, B, C, D. That means already the child cannot find their own tribe. So, or the child wants to be all things to all people and wants to belong to any kind of social group. So we must pay attention, even if they're not necessarily under our care. Once they are gone out there, what is it that they are doing? I had a case that I dealt with once where the boy was telling the mom, and it was the mom that told me, that he didn't like the school, but she just assumed he was just settling in. This was in Nigeria. He was just settling in, okay, teething issues. So at some point, he said he doesn't want to be in the dormitory. They had issues. Said which senior was bullying him, blah, blah, blah. They moved him from dorm A to dorm B. Cut the long story short, from dorm B to dorm C. Then he complained again. This time around, he told his mom that he wants to go and get him, or he's going to kill himself. He wants to leave the school, blah, 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 blah. So you're thinking, what's this? What can be so serious? The time she got to the bottom of it, the boy, apparently, they called him cute, that he looked like a girl. And he's cute. So he was a target for the homosexual children. Homosexual, bisexual, whatever they are. So they were touching him, they were always teasing him and everything. They hadn't at that point sexually abused him, but they had sexually harassed him severely, that it was affecting him mentally. Ultimately, they had to remove him from the school. But these things are happening in the school. There's a lot of lesbianism also happening in the school. I was in secondary school some 25-30 years ago. I don't even know now. However, when I was there was lesbianism there. It's called children lele and all those sort of things. And I know that society is going to say, "Oh, I'm talking about am I discriminating?" Choose your own thing. If you want to be bi, if you want to identify as a fish or leaf or anything you want to identify as, free to identify as anything you want. But my child identifies as a child of God. That is my own. Her own community of friends must identify as children of God. Who are the people that your children are even praying with when they go to school? Who are the children? Do they have friends that they pray? You know, my daughter also had a friend that was that way inclined. I even connected with the parent. But that child has already, she doesn't even want to do all those things again. She wants to belong to other groups. She wants to be doing other things. And I bet you that the mom, and speaking to the mom, so strict, so this, so that. But when she goes home or when the mother sees her now, she'll just change. Because they know how to dance to your tune. They know how to massage your ego. A lot of the children, they know that the self-esteem of their parents are tied to their performance. So if they behave well, then everything is okay. But if they don't behave well, they're not proud of them. They will not, So they will just, they will even write you wonderful things so they can screenshot it and put it on there. Mugu, they're looking at you and say, my mom's happy now. Let me go and do all the evil things that I enjoy doing. So it's very, very important to communicate. It's very, very important that your children have that safe space that they can talk to you. Don't trust with gender or that gender thing. Let me go as far as even saying, even amongst friends, they abuse each other. People will have played this and say they're all girls, but all girls touch each other too. They have all boys touch each other. This one is not even hearsay. This one is even, I've experienced this one. I'm sure I spoke about it Facebook many years ago, where I invited a friend to the home with my for a play date with my daughter, and she wanted to start, coming on to my daughter, for lack of a better word, right now. But I was watching her on the camera, and I wanted to also know how my daughter will respond, because sometimes you have to see that it's not everybody that's bad. Maybe your child too wants to do. you never know. Let's see the values that you've instilled in your child. Is your child interested in this way of life as well? Anyway, she wasn't, thankfully, and I had to call the father of the child. It became a big deal. But my point is, irrespective of gender, children can decide that they want to touch each other. So what is the safe place? I could have just left them, not even bothered with camera, and just said, maybe they're girls, they can do whatever they want together. Oh, they're boys, they can do whatever they want. They can touch each other, they can abuse each other, they can watch porn together. All sorts of things that they do. So we must ensure that communication is happening, that ongoing education is happening, and that we are accessible. And I'm talking about easily accessible and very available to our children.
Wow. Thank you